what we have here for you today is robotics cameras. It's definitely in the security and surveillance realm, really. I guess the green connection is that, you know, we have different storage devices and different ways of recording and doing things with cameras that, you know, most competitors don't do. I've been using robotics cameras for 10 or 15 years, really. You know, I actually am from Detroit, and there I kind of got introduced to it. I moved here about 5 years ago and rehooked up with Steve, and you know, so from a selling and a installation, you know, I kind of understand that. John Roth is our lead grill technician on all of our robotics installations and setups, and you know, if you want to tell them a little bit about what your experience is, John.
Back up for me. Mobotics products are, it's really a unique solution to security cameras. They're IP-based cameras, but they do a lot of different things. So you can, where most IP cameras are old analog cameras, you can record on motion, let's say, and it's just a checkbox for record on motion. Where Mobotics takes an approach where it's a triggered event. And you can trigger that event on motion in the whole room or just in one part of the room. You can create a video matrix. You can also trigger an event based on temperature, based on sound, based on amount of movement in a room. So it gives you all kinds of possibilities. Say you can actually trigger an event when your server room gets too hot. And it can send you an email and say, hey, server room's too hot, or someone entered the server room at such and such time. You can get an email on your, you know, personal device. A lot of options on the actual video also. We can look at different things and create a better picture because there's so much we can do as far as saturation of light and different things like that. It's really a multi-purpose camera. Like I said, it's got audio, two-way audio, microphone, so you can use it to greet people. So when someone walks in the front door, you can say, it sees the motion and it says, welcome to Microsoft, someone will be here to see you shortly. Then send an email to you and you say, oh, somebody's in the lobby, and you can walk out. So if you have a problem, we can pretty much come up with an idea to fix it. There's a lot of neat options you can do with these. What's that? Yeah, absolutely, Steve.
Hi guys, I'm Steve Ray with Mobotics. This is a little bit new for us tag teaming this stuff, so I'm kind of chomping at the bit because I go around and do this quite often. But I want to take one step back and just ask how many people are actively pursuing or actively researching or know about video surveillance for whatever company you represent. Okay, so you're familiar. Everybody else, is this kind of foreign and new to you? No? Some? A little bit? Okay. So Mobotics, just to give you a little history on Mobotics. Video surveillance may not be new, but Mobotics might be. So Mobotics is a high-resolution megapixel manufacturer of video surveillance, only PoE-driven high-resolution devices. So we are a smart device on the end of the line. Most camera manufacturers, all camera manufacturers, are a dumb device at the end of the line. They are a piece of hardware that has to communicate through a piece of software that tells that camera what to do other than the visual that it has from the lenses. Mobotics is an intelligent device that has a Linux-based computer built into every one of the cameras. So the camera is the smart technology, and we just need the software to do any type of manipulation with those images. So with Mobotics, the unique thing about that is you don't have to buy NVRs or DVRs or any type of technology like that to command the hardware. The smart device, the camera, can do everything it needs, and then you can have the free software that Mobotics provides. Now, you may be familiar with video surveillance, but you may not understand how it all pieces together. And most of our 95% of our competition will sell a camera, and then you also have to then buy a software package, as well as you then have to renew and pay for licensing that we're familiar with every year for the life of that system that you create. So with Mobotics, you can buy the camera. You use the authorized partner, Bell Electric, within the region that we're in for the installation and the service. And then any firmware upgrades, software, any type of technology that goes along with that coming from us is free. Now we do integrate and work with other very large, well-known VMS partners around the US. There's no problem, but we feel that if you buy a Mobotics piece of equipment, that the intelligent software comes with it for free, as well as any upgrades later. Another thing, talking about video management and saving of hard drive space and saving customers money, you'd have to buy analytic technology if you want to do intelligent post video type information like directional or tripwire, meaning crossing a certain area, or facial recognition, or other things like that. That's a separate package. With Mobotics, we put it on the edge with the camera. We were invented in '99 with a gentleman that still owns the company, Dr. Ralph Hinkle. Unique thing about him was when he was studying his doctorate, he, with his roommate, who's a partner in Mobotics, invented the laser level. So if you've used the laser level or heard of it or have received it for a Christmas present, like I did one year, it was spun off to Bosch, but he invented the technology, did very well with it, and sold that to Bosch, was very interested in high resolution video, big camera guy, avid in skiing. So he invented Mobotics for extreme conditions, so that when he was going skiing in the Swiss Alps and in Austria, he could actually dial into a camera that would withstand the environment, right? So at extreme environments, analog camera technology would break down the housings, the heaters, the blowers, many points of failure. So he thought, well, if I'm going to dive into the security industry and create a solid product that's going to withstand the elements throughout the world, I need to look at it in a decentralized concept with no moving parts and self-maintained. So our cameras, this is the lineup. Those are all cameras that are ready to go outside in St. Louis. I've got some down in the mining areas of Illinois, got some in the mining areas in the South, school districts, you name it, it's available and ready to go anywhere that you wish to install it. We also have an interior product line now that's not on this slideshow because this is slightly dated. With technology, as we know, things come out rapidly. But with these cameras, some unique things that John was getting into is, we're not just a camera. With a lot of other camera solutions, let's use a interrogation room or a police department. They, a lot of times, have to have a camera to visually see. They also need to add a audio recording microphone communication device so they hear and they can see the actions of the person being talked to. We have those pieces all built in, lip synchronized, so it works very well, and you have lip synchronized audio with the video. We have built-in video motion detectors. So if you need dual type technology, I'll use Target as an example. They had a lot of theft and a lot of assaults in the parking lots. They are one of the most highly technical video protection company in the world. A lot of retailers look to Target to mimic, mold what they've done and blend theirs after that. They liked our technology for the exterior because they were using cameras as well as different motion detectors, different third-party devices to do the analysis that they needed in their parking lots. So they looked at Mobotics, and Mobotics had it all wrapped up into one. You can use those parts, you don't need to use those parts. We have IR devices, blinking red lights if you want. Hey, I don't want you to come onto my property. I don't want you to come and look at what we have in the cars in the parking lot, or maybe it's a school and you don't want them to come around, of course, the property. So if you want to make sure that the cameras are visual, like I do at my house, I have 6 kids, I blink the LEDs on the camera. Very visual. You see it if you're up to no good. You remove yourself from the premises. Or if you want it discreet, you can turn them off. It doesn't matter. We're very flexible like that. We have vandal domes. We have thermal devices, which you're going to see. Is anyone familiar with thermal technology? Okay, so if you're not, thermal technology is very unique. The price cost is coming down. It was very, very expensive for years. It still is, but we found a way to purchase the lenses and bring the cost down somewhat in a very highly, it's a very solid lensing technology, similar to another company called FLIR, but we've been able to bring the cost down, as well as blend two lenses within one technology. So if you're looking at, and I'm not sure what everyone's applications are, if it's only interior, if it's exterior, or how you might apply this technology, but if you have a highly vegetated area on a corporate campus, and you have black and white lenses and color lenses. Black and white lenses are difficult because if you don't have the proper lighting, you're not going to be able to see out within the vegetation of the campus. With thermal now, and we've got some video if we get time to get to it, with thermal now, you can see behind all that vegetation. You can see anyone hiding behind a bush because of the heat of their profile, of their body. Maybe there's somebody walking into your lobby of your campus that you're in charge of, or whoever's in charge of, and they have a gun in their pocket. You can see that gun within their pocket, in a silhouette or whatever you want to call that, within their pant pocket, and be able to nip that situation in the bud before anything happened. Then you can also use that with a dual technology with two lenses and have the color lens as well. Most thermal technology, you would have a thermal and you'd have to buy another expensive camera. We blend them both with two lenses, and I don't know why it's doing this, but please pardon the dual. So in a camera like this, in an M15, you would have a color lens and a black and white lens. Let's use coastal areas, BHP Billiton and gas and oil. Sell a whole lot of those cameras in gas and oil. I know that's not prevalent around here, but they use that on these vast areas with large fields where they have the fracking sites or the pumping sites after they frack and find oil. And then they can watch these large areas because they have a lot of trouble out there with theft. A lot of that equipment is very expensive, and they would have to broadcast large lights at night so the black and white lens would work. Now, they use the thermal and the color, one technology, and they have the best of both worlds. But that can be applied in any application. Lake of the Ozarks, I got a guy that has a very expensive marina and harbor. He put several thermals out there because he got a lot of expensive boats out there and a lot of theft occurs. So he can see within the marina what's going on with the thermal at night and then the color without having to broadcast and blow that thing up like a football stadium. I'm going to kind of brush through this quickly and then let these guys get on board. I just wanted to kind of make you a little bit more familiar with Mobotics and why Mobotics is a solid solution. We have the flexibility of very small lensing technology, so it comes in just a lens, basically this big here, and you can mount that in different housings. And then you can use these different housings to separate the lenses and use it in two separate hallways or on a bus, or one interior, one exterior. Have an external or have an elderly facility where extended living, and the thought of the builder was, I want to be able to communicate the owners or the relatives with the individual that's in the room, so they can do a talk down. They use one lens in each room, and they can communicate with their relatives at night if they dial into it like a FaceTime effect. So basically what I'm getting at is Mobotics is very flexible. It is weather resistant, ready to go in any type of environment. And I apologize, I'm not sure what all your environments are, but it's ready to go interior, exterior, wherever it might be. And it's very flexible to upscale or downscale or work into integration of access control or any type of other technologies that you might have within your facility. So just kind of wanted to broaden who the Mobotics partner is, so that you guys were a little bit more familiar. I'll pass it back off to these guys.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve. Absolutely.
Some views, some thoughts of the Mobotics camera from our standpoint. We work in electrical. What I do is more of the system side, so it's a lot of data and audio, and these cameras kind of do all that in one. It's the fact of it is they're really flexible is what I like, what's drawn it to me. I mean, I didn't have to go with Mobotics. We had lots and lots of choices like you guys probably all do, but I was always drawn to it because of the flexibility. The single lens camera that Steve was talking about, I'm not sure if you guys kind of got the levity of that. If you want discretion, you don't want people to really feel like they're being watched, that whole camera is just a lens, and that's the whole thing. So I could have it next to that picture or in the ceiling. You don't even really recognize it's there, and it's the full-blown camera. The camera is, the housing would sit somewhere above the ceiling, and it does all the recording, it does everything these cameras do, and you get two lenses, which really gives you that flexibility. I could put one in this room, one in that room. So I essentially bought one camera with two long leads, go back to a box, and you got full-blown, pretty much everything these cameras we're about to show you have. So if you want, obviously this big camera here, you're going to see that one, so you're going to feel like you're being watched, and half the time that's what you want. You want them to know that they're here and you're being watched. The camera that John has up right now, you can see all this analytic stuff happening, which again is that flexibility of what do you need it to do. I like this camera because you're going to see we got this zone box right here. So this is programmable so that we can say, and actually John installed this out at a project last year basically. Basically what it did is it was looking at a parking lot and you have cars going by back and forth. Well, the owner wasn't interested in having all of this data just storing every time a car goes by recording, So we use these boxes to say, okay, well, I'm only going to record what is in this box. In there, you can get them different shapes. You can make it just whatever. You can say, hey, anything in this magic box in the corner, that's the only time we record. We can see it at all times, but we're only recording that situation. So we were able to cut out all that traffic and just see our cars. And when someone walked out to their car or someone messed with anything in their parking lot, they recorded. The other part of the cool thing with the analytics is this thing can count and tally and give you information. I think, Steve, you showed me that demo of yours where it basically showed a Coke machine on one side and Pepsi on another. So the camera was up top and they were like, wow, everyone seems to buy Coke. I guess it's the more popular brand. And they switched it, well, everyone's buying Pepsi, what's going on? And they could count how many people, just walking in the building just happen to go this way, and when they happen to go this way, oh, this machine's over here, but most people went this way, so this is where, if you're selling your product, you want on that side. So it can count and tally, it can understand directional information, which I think John was saying, which, again, I'm not sure if you guys got that, but if you walk toward it, the analytics can understand that you're approaching, so it can record, and you can record a message into the camera so it can speak to you and say, welcome, and please have a seat, someone will be with you. And the other, when it's walking away, it can understand that too. Well, have a great day, thanks for visiting. It does all that within the camera. From our standpoint, cameras are expensive. The price point for these cameras is very competitive. And for us, it's cheap install because it's installed right now. That's all it needs. Whether that camera's indoor, outdoor, there's no heater, there's no power, there's no anything. It's PoE wherever you want it, and it's flexible in that manner. I guess the other part that I like about it is the recording portion of it. And I think that's what I was mentioning a few of you earlier. We've installed these down at downtown and not City Hall, but the 1520 Market. Yeah, it's next to the City Hall. So we put in 25 cameras down there, and the great thing was we didn't have to record to a single recording device. In that case, we did, but they have the option to have a micro SD chip goes in every one of these cameras. So we could put 64 gig of memory on every single camera, send it out there with no centralized recording point. So There's no one point of failure. If this server, this NAS, this recording device goes down, we're still recording. We're getting it all. And now with the new software, you can actually have a NAS or a DVR if you want, also record to the camera, so you can record both, which is exciting because we've been waiting for that for a while. And so now that's finally out, we think it's a really good feature. So it makes it more competitive in the fact that they can go outside, weatherproof, and no NAS if you don't want it. Now some people need it, some people say, hey, we need it so much recording, but we have the both option for both with all these cameras. You want to show them the other camera there? So this is the thermal and regular lens. So the other cool thing about this camera in particular is this is what Steve was saying is we can put two-day lenses, a night a day, a thermal a day, a thermal a night, a color, a black and white, whatever you need. I found that the black and white, I found that the color lenses, which you would normally use in the day with good light, work really good at night. I mean, we put them in parking lots, and that's ideal for go black and white. You can really see well. But the color lenses, they collect so much light anyway, they work pretty well with pretty minimal light. It's got to be pretty dark to really need the black and white, but that camera could switch back and forth automatically. So if you had a black and white and a color, then during the day you got great, and when it turns night, now the black and white's recording. So it allows you to do a lot of things with that particular camera. It's two cameras in one. And the thermal part is just really cool, as you can see. You know, I think we saw some, again, we saw some demo from you where it's pitch dark. This guy you can't see anything, you know, not a thing. He's sneaking alongside a car, and you can just see his heat signature just reflecting off all the cars as he goes in the parking lot. You can't see him at all. He's completely invisible and hidden, but you can see his signature, so you know somebody's there. We can start recording on that. It might be something that maybe, you know, it's just going to be, as the price comes down, people will use that, but putting that in a parking lot is a great option, you know. We have a third camera here. It's not hooked up, but this is a dual lens camera, and it's another really cool and way to keep the price down on cameras. The fact that I can put that camera in with different lenses, and all these cameras are like that, where we can have a real close view or a real wide aspect view. So I get 180 degrees on one lens, or I can switch the lens and do a far away, up close picture. So that dual lens camera on the right there, the far right, the nice thing about that is we could put it up in the middle of a corridor and say, well, I'm going to get this side of the corridor with this lens, and this side of the corridor with this lens, as wide or narrow as you want. All the lenses are interchangeable. We can have a bunch of spares, so we can kind of help you decide which would be the best way, which lens that you need. And that's the camera we also put up at the corner of a building. And you know, so what we allow to do is, you know, let one camera get almost this entire corner, and the other lens and the same camera get this entire corner. So to cover a building, I need 4 cameras, and I got every corner done, and you know, pretty well covered as far as surveillance goes.
I'll show you a couple things on here.
Yeah,
one thing that's real nice, there's a lot of toys you can do with this, and for anybody that's a computer guy or a technology geek like me, it's really neat because you can do live time and recorded hand tilt zoom. Since it's such a high resolution camera, we're pulling in so much information without a working servo motors and more points of failure. I can actually move the camera around digitally to zoom in and actually move up and down. So let's see here. I can look over here and see that she's smiling. Zoom out, zoom in. And what's nice is you can do this with the recorded video. So it's kind of like CSI. I mean, we can zoom in on license plates and tire treads and stuff like that after the fact. Piece of lint on there, yeah. So it's really neat. And the nice thing about it, we've mentioned over and over, is the flexibility. There's so much that you can do, changing the modules, and like Brian said, on a corner of a building, we've done that a lot. There's just tons of flexibility of what you can do. It's
And for some of you that may, or probably most of you, unless you're really into cameras, you know, the old technology of camera was kind of like exactly what you said. You put a security guard somewhere, he's looking at a camera. And if that camera says, well, you know, I want to zoom into that corner over there, that's what's important to me, right over there. He zooms in, he's looking at what he needs all day long. But even though they're all pan tilt zoom, every camera does this, if you're looking at that and something's happening over here, you know, whatever event might be, you're recording that too. Just because you're looking, like the old cameras, of course, I mean, or maybe nobody knows, I don't know, but if you zoomed in and looked at one thing, that's what you're recording and nothing else. That is the only thing you're recording. These cameras, we can zoom in on one thing, look at it all day long, but it records everything it can see. So if someone says, hey, at that same time, didn't you see this car got jacked or whatever? Well, hey, you know, we can zoom. I wasn't looking at that. They can zoom out and say, oh, yeah, we recorded it. We can take that recording, put it on a thumb drive. You can take it to the police. The software goes along with it, so they can plug that thumb drive into their computer and they can see it. They don't have to say, oh, well, we don't have your software. We don't know how to view this. It comes with the recordings. So,
and at the same time, you can actually block a piece of video. So this is our money
like jails.
count room or a jail. There's a secure privacy thing.
Yep.
We don't want to record this. We can actually block that piece of video also.
absolutely.
And the motion, as you see that motion tracking, that actually is used in airports also. So everyone's walking this way, no big deal, it's recording. All of a sudden somebody comes out of the plane and is walking out. Wait a minute, they shouldn't be doing that. Everybody should be loading. And it can set off an alarm. There's relay modules that we can attach to these also. So we can turn on and off lights or sirens or buzzers or whatever your imagination can come up with.
Absolutely. The flexibility of what we can do, I think everyone likes to say, hey, I want to be able to see all my recordings from different buildings. We can do that. We can push the recordings to a smartphone so you can see your cameras that way. I mean, I think, a lot of manufacturers do that, but, they really have not much that we can't do with these cameras, which is kind of why we've kind of just settled on it and we use it anywhere I can. A lot of times people say, well, I get these analog cameras for, cheaper, which I can't imagine anyone here would actually buy an analog camera, but I go to a lot of customers like, hey, for this much I can get, twice as many analog cameras, and usually I have a display on here so I can show people, well, the quality of analog camera versus a 6 megapixel camera, I mean, you're wasting your money, you're throwing the garbage. But even most regular IP cameras that are out there today, they don't match the quality and they don't have all the flexibility to, like I said, reduce number of cameras, so you're buying less things, you're maintaining less things. It has a lot of flexibility in that.
Also, I mentioned layouts. As you see, I'm sequencing through cameras now. If we had 20 cameras, we could sequence between all 20, these two, whatever type of you need to see for your security people or whoever's monitoring. They can watch one camera all the time, or we can lay out, 12 small boxes and one big box. And then we can also sequence between layouts. So if you want one layout with 4 cameras here and another one with 10, and you can sequence between each one of those separate layouts. Now you see his glasses there? It doesn't show the heat behind the glass. It's an insulator. It's kind of neat.
Which I think is where the gun part comes into.
Yeah, I did the same thing, but I took my glasses off and I can't see the screen. So. Really some pretty amazing technology. For a guy out in the field and a customer says, hey, I can't get a good picture here. I can get a good picture. With a lot of times with standard cameras, there's outside light coming in a window or a garage door or whatever situation. I can actually block that light and make the rest of the image just crystal clear. It's really some neat stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of goes to the fact that these are full-blown computers, and we don't need some huge backbone to push the data back to a recording device or whatever you're viewing it on. So it keeps the packets of information real small, so it's real fast. We can fit 50 cameras up there. You can push it to just about any type of device, either recording or just viewing like he's doing right here, and it's real simple. We put them in hospitals, and they're always really concerned about, well, if you put 20 cameras, you're going to clog this thing, and we can't view it, we can't do it. But the fact that all the technology is happening in the computer, in the camera computer, makes it flexible for that as well. Do you guys have any questions about it? We're kind of going on and on. You know, maybe we're stepping over something you guys are thinking about. Yeah.
5 minutes, but so I assume is it always going to have the same colors for the based on the heat?
The thermal part?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
There are 5 different like color maps that you can change that to. Yeah, but it's pre-selected settings in the program.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that we can, you know, you can program for different needs, and I think that's what John was speaking to too, is, you know, a standard camera, you know, you adjust the lens and you're kind of done, but because it's a computer, you know, he's had some situation where it's just so washed out, you can't really see well, and the camera can balance out the light and say, hey, in this tricky, difficult situation, we can get a really good picture where other cameras just can't. You know, you have to go with specialty lenses, and you really don't need them here. That camera is versatile, and it kind of takes care of all.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You mentioned, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
You mentioned that you didn't need power or any connections to start off with, so I'm assuming it then runs on battery or solar or
Great. No, it's PoE. So right now here we've got down on the floor, we've got a little PoE switch. So you just kind of wire them back to your IT closet or wherever you want to put the switches out in the field.
Yeah.
And yeah, the PoE switch needs power.
so that power, okay.
But you know, it's like anything else. You know, we can run at least 300 feet, or probably 500 feet. It's not like data where, you know, it's like a voice data jack at 300 feet and you're done. You know, we can push it 500 feet from a PoE switch and still get the camera power up.
Right.
Yeah.
If I can speak on that a little bit, your standard cameras you'll see on a lot of outdoor applications, there's a big, you know, housing. It's a big bullet housing, we call it. And it has a fan and a heater. And you need a separate power supply to run all that stuff. And that's multiple points of failure. The power supply, the fan, the heater, all that stuff, they fail.
Plus you have the electrician to get out there and get you all the power and
Right.
everything you need. We don't need it.
And
that
with this,
cable
a single patch cord, single Cat5 data drop, I can plug this camera in anywhere in the facility.
And outside, summer, winter.
Yep, and it's ready to go.
They don't fog, they just look good.
Right.
Did you have a question, sir?
With the software that comes with this product, I'm curious to understand what other type of software would folks want integrated with this system? And I guess the reason for that question, I can see where, do you offer any facial recognition with your software?
Steve?
We no facial recognition with our analytic software, but it's coming soon. So if you looked up bullet points of analytics with tripwire and with directional and with speed, and we go a step further. Our owner, Dr. Ralph Hinkle, he invented also something that's very big in areas where they're changing seasons with storms. We're going to have some this next week, or snow or wind. Our analytics in an outdoor environment can distinguish the difference between rain and snow and different things, and not waste all your hard drive space. But then when an individual walks through that setting, it will then pick up on that. So the facial is not there. The facial is the most tricky, because if we were to pull up facial in any software now, if you've looked at them, you've got a 90% accuracy with 5 of us and 6 of us in this room matching that same criteria.
Yeah.
So Dr. Hinkle's pretty precise about what he's going to put into a security device, because we're protecting, you know, the world here. Sorry.
No,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, as far as face recognition, there are face recognition cameras. It wouldn't integrate with this on the robotics level, but you can get robotics and other brands, and you can bring them all into one software, but you pay for the licenses then, because those software people say, if you're going to bring in 10 cameras and you give us $100 per camera and all the fees that go along with it, where if you're pure robotics, there's no licenses.
But outside of facial recognition, what other type of software would they want to integrate with this?
So for integration, you may have a phone PBX package. You may have access control at your facility. You may have, there are some home automation or small business automation type packages, like if you have Crestron in your facility, or Savant or Control 4. Those are more focused towards high-end residential, but some mid-sized companies have those types of feature sets within their boardrooms and within their environment. So, you know, just different types of software packages that you might use to run your business.
Or as creative as you want to be. The fact is that we can pull it all together in a lot of different ways. So if someone says, hey, you know, I want, you know, my camera to trigger only if this door opens, or, you know, the access, someone swipes it, if they swipe it 3 times, I want some integration. We could definitely do stuff like that.
One thing that we didn't show that I think is important too, does anyone have door intercom stations at their facilities? So we have, every one of these cameras is a SIP client. So the important thing to recognize there is if you have a digital phone or even an analog phone where there's a product effigy that you can put a digital interface between the two, communicate to any of these cameras, microphone, speaker, they can become an extension to your digital phone network, assign it an IP address on that side, so you can actually communicate to that. So maybe you got a disaster recovery application and there's been a God forbid, a terrible incident, and you need to help people figure out a way to get out. You can use the cameras to integrate with that, which is pretty amazing. And then also our door intercom station, which is in the booklet. Take a look at that. It's a 6 megapixel high resolution door intercom. So a competing common analog competitor that you may see or may be familiar with, or if you look around will see at a lot of locations, is called A-Phone, because they've been out for a long time. It's been the common name. But our door intercom station, with all the things we've been talking about, tying into access control and door release and mag stripes and prox keys that can release a door as you enter the building, that can all be tied to our door intercom, and then you can manage it from your app on your iPhone from Cabo if you're on the beach there and you need to allow someone in.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned swipe 3 times. You mentioned swipe 3 times. I was at an event last week where there was a Secret Service presentation, and apparently when cyber criminals steal credit card information, they will go to a store and literally keep swiping until they find one that actually works. And apparently that is a trip mechanism that, hey, you know, that guy, I saw that guy swipe 3 or 4 times.
Within so much time frame.
It seems to me that your software would be able to pick that up, that they're swiping multiple times, and therefore maybe send out an alert.
Sure, you could
Interesting.
do IP notify type applications and put in some information to manage that type of situation.
I think we're just about out of time, but I wanted to ask, is anybody seeing this have any kind of idea of, well, you know, I got an application and it would be cool if we could do this. Has anybody got anything that they're thinking of? Because it's neat for us to get an idea and say, well, yeah, we can do this.
What people
and
need,
this.
what people are looking
Right.
for, you know. And we like to be creative with everything we can do and try to solve those situations. But there's brochures at the back there, so if you want to take one, think about it. You know, my card is back there, Steve's card is back there. You're welcome to call any or all of us, and you know, if anything comes up or perks is, hey, you know, I just want one simple camera. Well, you know, it's not hard to do. Or I want 100. You know, give me a call tomorrow whenever you're ready.
I think that's it.
All right,
All right, Michael.